Welcome to another Top 5 with Kris 05, guys. Today I'm gonna give you the best decks for each class, as well as all of the other working archetypes, so you can make an educated choice what your next meta deck would be. Keep in mind that we just got a leak that the new mini set will be releasing on the 21st of January, so if you're low on dust, you might want to hold off crafting anything for now. But it's still gonna be a good idea for you to check out the video, so you can know what the competition looks like right now. As always, I will give you an overview, win rates, mulligan guides with and without the coin, and if it's worth crafting this close to a year rotation. Hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. Also, you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching, and you can even get your first tower at a discount price, just by becoming a legendary member in my YouTube, and that way you can get that discount each month for 1 hour. Now, let's get into the video. The first deck on the list is gonna be Old Faithful, Face Hunter. Face Hunter is going back to its roots, and we see the All-Star MVPs in the form of Leper Gnome, Wolf Rider, and Eaglehorn Bow. After the last set of nerfs, the best decks became a little more mid-rangey and control-y, so naturally Face Hunter would be a huge punish for those. This is a very cheap version of Face Hunter, and it's running only one legendary in the form of the new weapon, which is safe to say is a safe craft. Other than that, you're not even running Dragonbane, which is good news since Dragonbane is rotating in 3 months. We have Knife Vendor, which is an interesting card inclusion, which didn't see much play till now, but I guess now it's her time to shine. You have a few secrets in there with which you can be creative, but so far these seem to be working the best. For the matchups, your problematic ones would be Paladins, Clown Druid, Highlander Hunter, Priest will not be too fun, Zoolock is kinda fast for you, and naturally, most of the warriors are a problem as well. But all in all, you should be able to win most of the time, and the games are gonna be pretty fast for you, so climbing should be very fast for you. Now let's move down to the mulligan. Keep in mind that the stats here are from a slightly different deck, so we have a populated enough list so we can have reliable percentages. Obviously, Face Stalker is always gonna be a key for you. Wolpertinger is gonna be nice when you're going first, and so is Store Guide. Be careful when keeping Scavenger Ingenuity, especially when you already have Beasts in hand, cause you do not have that many of them. Other than that, never keep secrets, and don't keep Kill Command and Eaglehorn Bow as well. Same goes for Unleash the Hounds. Basically, only keep 1s and 2 drops and sometimes the weapon. When going second, the situation is similar. You still want your Face Stalker, Tour Guide and weapon, and Imprisoned Felmaws are great as well. If you're going second, you could consider keeping Explosive Trap, but still be careful, especially if the opponent has the ability to buff up their health above 2. Is the deck worth crafting? Well, it's under 4k dust, so it doesn't get much cheaper than that. Like I said, the rotation will not hurt it too much, and Face Hunter is always gonna be an archetype that finds a way in the meta. I'm pretty sure that even after the mini set releases on the 21st, Face Hunter will remain strong, because it punishes unrefined decks, and we will see plenty of those when the new set comes. Other than that, Highlander is also doing great, if not better, but the price is 5 times higher, and also the rotation is gonna kill it. You could check out my last top 5 to see my Highlander guide about it, and you can also check out one of my last videos where we did a coaching session with our very own Trim. Now let's move to the next archetype. Seems like Secret Mage started to gain a lot of popularity, and it has quite a good win rate as well, above 60% from Diamond to Legend in the last 3 days. People discovered this archetype pretty much on day 1 of the new expansion, but it just didn't pick up enough traction at the beginning, and I guess the unnerfed classes were kind of a problem for it as well. I guess Evolve Shaman was a little bit too good against it, and overall Smoke classes are a problem for it as well, but now it seems like the meta is not that fast anymore, so it can thrive again. This deck runs a ton of different secrets, so it's gonna be very hard for your opponent to actually play around everything. You have your Arcane Flak Mage, so you can have some good board control early, Apexis Smuggler for some extra value, Secret Keeper for that early game potential, and you also have Jandis, which is an insane card. You can draw a ton of cards with your Sage, and Rigged Fair Games triggers super easy against most classes too. For the matchups, like I said, Hunters will not be your friend. Aggro Demon Hunter and Zoolock fit the same description, and Pure Paladin is gonna outvalue you. World Kick Rogue is still gonna be strong against you, but other than that, everything is green. When going first, you want to be curving out. Obviously, the 2 Secret Keepers will be your best bet, and if you can follow up with an Ancient Mysteries, that's gonna be very good for you. Rigged Fair Games is gonna be a keep for you against most classes if you know they will not be easily attacking your face each turn. An Unconscious Rider is also pretty good since it's a body with a secret attached to it from your deck. Don't get baited into keeping Arcane Flak Mage too often, since you will not be able to activate it before turn 5 most of the time, unless you combo it with an Ancient Mysteries before that. Jandis would be a pretty good keep most of the time, and Kirin or Mage as well. Again, don't get baited into keeping secrets, unless it's rigged fair games. Fireball is also never gonna be a keep, and same goes for Cloud Prince. When going second, the priority pretty much remains the same, but this time you can actually keep Occult Conjurer as well, and Counterspell becomes a lot more keepable too. Rigged fair games would not be as great of a keep for you anymore, because since you're going second, your opponent is gonna be the one that places minions on the board first. It's still gonna make sense against lower classes, but be smart about it, and don't overkeep it too much. Flak Mage also becomes a lot more keepable, since you will need to be answering your opponent's boards, especially if it's an aggro class. Is Secret Mage worth the craft? Again, it's not a very expensive archetype, and the rotation will not hurt it too much, if at all. You're not losing too much from the rotation, but you will be losing Ancient Mysteries, Flak Mage as well, and Flame Ward might be a big loss, but other than that, you are good. So I still think that the archetype should be able to survive into the next year. Other than that, Highlander Mage is doing okay, especially in High Legend, and No Minion Mage is also acceptable, even though it's barely above 50%. The next deck on the list is gonna be the enhancement Aggro Shaman. Naturally, after a deck gets nerfed, people go away from it, and that is why Evolve Shaman is not so popular anymore, even though I think it's still as strong. But this Aggro Shaman is also doing a fine job right now, and it can close games as soon as turn 5 or 6. The goal is simple, Smork. You have so much damage from hand, and it all revolves usually around your weapon, even though you have plenty of burn spells as well. And a lot of your minions are actually high impact too. You're still running the Custodians because Doomhammer became the new best Shaman weapon right now. You have Cumulus Maximus for some extra burst potential, and you also have Inara Stormcrash, just in case your opponent breaks your weapon. You can do crazy amounts of damage with the Rock Biters and the Storm Strikes, and you have plenty of board control tools as well, so it's no surprise it's a pretty strong deck right now. For the matchups, we can see that Paladins are not the best for you, because they again taunt up and heal too much. Highlander Druid might be a problem, and so is Aggro Demon Hunter, but all in all, it seems pretty green for you. When going first, you want your 1-drops, Custodian, and Serpentshire Portal. You could also keep Lightning Bloom so you can curve into something faster, but don't get baited into keeping cards like Lava Burst, Camulio, and Rockbiters. And Diligent Note Taker is not a 2-drop for you, so do not waste him on curve. When going second, the situation is pretty much the same, but you can actually keep your Doomhammer as well. Again, your goal is going to be to go face, so don't try to keep too much removal for the board. This is another pretty cheap deck, which you can definitely craft with great success, but keep in mind that the rotation will hit it a little. You will be losing your good 1-drops in the form of Sludge Slurper and Surging Tempest, and you're also losing Camulio Maximus, so keep that in mind. Other than that, Totem Shaman and Evolve Shaman are still doing pretty good. Next up, let's talk about Galakrond Warlock. This deck spiked in popularity after the Evolve Shaman nerfs, and it's doing fairly well in the current meta. I feel like its popularity is starting to drop a little these last few days, but it's still among the top decks right now. I see people still running a lot of Sticky Fingers in this deck, including Oozes, which I think is a mistake, since the meta is not as weapon heavy anymore. So I've picked a version with the least amount of weapon removal right now. The deck is jam-packed with a ton of removal, in the form of Plague of Flames, Soul Shear, Dark Skies, School Spirits, Cascading Disaster, and Twisting Nether. It has a lot of reactive minions as well, and not a bad amount of healing too, so it's a very strong deck to be playing against. We have Ticketus, which is an insanely strong 6-drop, which becomes even stronger if you play it on turn 8 after you have corrupted it. You have your obvious Galakrond package, and the drip healing from your fragments is also pretty nice. For the matchups, this picture is not looking too flattering, but keep in mind that you have to be skilled with the deck to make it work. Aggro decks like Demon Hunters and Hunters will be a problem for you, and most Druids are not too great for you as well, and same goes for the other Warlocks. But Mages, Paladins, Priests and Warriors should be fine, as well as Rogues and Shamans. For the mulligan, you want your Spirit Jailers when you're going first, and your good early Invoke cards. Depending on the class you're playing against, you might want to keep Sticky Fingers as well. When you're going first, you don't need to be keeping that many removals early on, but you can still afford to keep a Dark Skies, or School Spirits. When second, the situation is pretty much the same, but you can afford to keep more removals here, since you're gonna be in the reactive position. I cannot say it's worth the craft, because it is very expensive and it's losing most of its cards, including the core cards in the form of Galakrond. If you already have the cards, I guess it's fine, and you can definitely climb a lot of ranks with it. But if you're thinking about crafting it right now, I'm afraid it's too late. Other than that, we have Control Warlock and also Zoolock, which is actually doing very good as well, if not better. I did talk about it in my last top 5, so you can check that one out to see Zoolock. And the last deck on the list is gonna be Enrage Warrior again. This time, I'm showcasing a more classic approach to Enrage Warrior without the ETC combo. It's looking pretty much the same as the deck version from the last expansion. But of course we have Sword Eaters, because it's a busted card that Blizzard refused to nerf. We also have Shield Honor, but other than that, it's pretty much basic stuff. We're only running one Corsair Cache since we're only running 2 weapons in the deck. You have your Growmash Hellscream for some huge burst potential at the end, and you also have one Galakrond Elite, which can become huge amounts of damage as well, with the help of the Mercenary. You have your huge armor game plan with the Armor Smiths, and you can draw a ton of cards with your Battle Rage too. You have Bara for that card removal, Sky Raiders can give you some good extra pirates, and you have Blood Boil Brutes for some good mid-range pressure. Matchup wise, again, Paladins are gonna be not too great for you, and so is Control Priest, but everything else looks pretty green, so it should be good. When going first, Ankar, Sky Raider and Corsair Cache would be your best bets. Wormhole Challenger and Sword Eater are also pretty good, but don't get baited into keeping Risky Skipper and Armor Smith too early most of the time. Also don't get baited into keeping Mercenaries, and when going first, Blood Boil Brute also doesn't make that much sense. When second, it's pretty much the same. Here, it's more acceptable to keep Armor Smith and even Blood Boil Brute, and you can also keep the Cutting class if you already have some weapon action going. Lord Baraf could be an excellent reactive tool for you, but again, don't get baited into keeping Galakrond Elite, Battle Rage and Growmash, and also the Reaper Sigh. This is another not so expensive deck, but it's not too cheap either. The year rotation will not be too kind to this deck, because we're losing Risky Skipper, Sky Raider, Ankar, Mercenary and Bomb Wrangler. There are plenty of other working warrior decks right now, in the form of ETC Control, Bomb Warrior, Big Warrior, Silas OTK Warrior, and anything in between, because those decks can actually cross their win conditions in between. And you can have an ETC Warrior with the Silas OTK in it, and a lot of other janky stuff. So these are gonna be the 5 featured decks. Now let's see the other classes which I haven't mentioned today. For Demon Hunter, Soul Demon Hunter is still doing very strong. I did reach top 100 Legend with it, and tonight we are gonna do a coaching session to Legend with it too, so drop by and check it out. Aggro Demon Hunter is also doing pretty good, and Lifesteal Demon Hunter as well. For Druid, we have Guardian Druid, Malygos Druid and Clown Druid. They all feel pretty unfair when they click, but most of the time they don't. For Paladin, Pure Paladin and Penflinger Paladin are still doing pretty well. Ramp Highlander Paladin also saw a rise in popularity, and a more tempo-oriented Highlander Paladin as well. And there's even a Silverhand Pure Paladin list out there that's also doing pretty good, so you have plenty of Paladin choices. For Priest, Big Rez is the archetype that gets the most win rate, but I've seen plenty of Highlander Priests in High Legend, so there's that. With Highlander Priest, it really comes down to the skill. And for Rogue, it's no surprise Warkick Rogue is still pretty strong, and the nerfs barely touched its win rate. 12-12 Eddies still drop on turn 1, but yeah, a lot of people decided not to play it anymore because it's not as strong, even though it's pretty much still busted. Aggro Rogue also started to see rise in popularity, and Secret Rogue is also doing fine. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope this helps you pick your next best deck, and hope it helps you climb some ranks. Let me know in the comments, what's your favorite deck right now? Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.